What's up, guys? Finally
Well,
got you guys on the podcast, Mark Burks and Jared Balf. Balf, I'm going to start with you because the work you put in for Gym Rats goes unnoticed. You talk to a lot of players, coaches, media. Just give the audience the background about who is Balf for those who may not know you.
yeah, so started doing this full time and love it. Been doing youth sports for about 20 years or so now, ever since I started college, and been able to come through. Been with Indy Heat Gym Rats now for 7 years. Took over as the director a couple years ago, and just starting to build from there. And do everything we can to involve as many people as possible. I think across the board, we have almost 40 or 45 coaches now. We've got about 7 to 10 admin people. So there's a lot of people just trying to make sure that they all get their notice and growing through the organization. And my job is just to kind of keep all that going forward.
Balf, has this pandemic been best for you in terms of spending more time with the family? Because, I mean, being a director of Gym Rats, you're on the road 24/7.
Yeah, it has. It's and I've appreciated it. It's been able to spend a ton of time at home. Been able to get a lot of stuff done around the house and all the things like everybody else is doing. But excited to get back out there. And at the end of the day, we're here to help kids, and we're trying to do that. There's new ways to make it through this pandemic. Talking to coaches more, and probably watching a lot more film and things like that. But overall, it's been a great little break. But yeah, you're right, Rico. When we get to it, I mean, we're on the road. We expected to be on the road, whatever it is, 8 weeks in a row. So now we'll see with this new schedule what happens.
What are coaches telling you, Balf, in regards of their recruitment?
Yeah, I think most of the coaches out there are a little unsure what's happening. Still not certain with the dates whether or not there will be open weekends for the 20, for the NCAA coaches from Division I, Division II. So we've really been trying to reach out to those guys. And Mark can tell you on our Gym Rat side and on our Red side, talking to D2s, NAIs, those guys, everybody's just trying to figure it out. Right now, it seems like a lot of people are going to the transfer market. As you know, there's 800 some odd kids out there. A lot of times the grad transfers as well. So, I think they're going that route first. Now, I will tell you, a lot of our 21s on our top team have had good luck. Most of those guys are doing fine. It's the guys that are looking for those low majors, D2s, NAIs, that we're really going to have to find ways to help.
Absolutely. And Burks, you're with the Indy Heat Red. You are the director for Gym Rats. A lot of people see you around at the trainings, at the tournaments. Who is Mark Burks for those they may not know?
Man, honest, first and foremost, I'm a family man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just to kind of backtrack a little bit, this pandemic it's allowed me to sit down. You know what I mean? I'm always on the go, always at tournaments where I'm recruiting kids and things like that. But first and foremost, I'm a family man. I'm a father, son. You know what I mean? I said son because I got to throw my parents in there as well. But just love hoop, man. So as far as people knowing me or knowing who I am, if they don't, I think I've done my job because they need to know the program. They need to know the kids. That's priority number one for me.
How did you cross paths with Gym Rats?
Perfect, man. So Jared Quarles and I have been friends forever. So
shout out to Jared.
For sure. Yeah. So I started coaching with him, bro. So he had, I was still living in Muncie and he was living up here in Fort Wayne. And he kept saying, Burks, you got to come up here. You got to come up here. And it was for the running slam. So I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to do. He's like, man, come up here. I got a kid you will love. So I know it's about Indy Heat and all that, but he said, I got a kid you love. So I shot up here. And who he was talking about is you. The one, you know what I mean? Because I told you that before. You one of my top 5 favorite players I've ever seen play, man, just because of the energy, the way you attack the boards and things like that. But anyway, so I come up, man. The first game, and you guys are playing Jaleel Okafor and Jabari Parker. They were a little younger than you guys. They were playing up, and I mean, y'all beat them. It was pretty good. Then the next day, I come. That's when it was you, Rayfield, Yogi, AJ Hammonds was all on that team, and you guys
were stacked.
Yeah, stacked. That Sunday game, man, y'all played Indiana Elite and the Devontae Smith Rivera. I just remember how all y'all went at it, man. And so after that, I started coming up for every running slam. You know what I mean? And so to start being
I think
around.
That was like court 6. I remember like it was yesterday. It was like court 6 as soon as you enter. So, no, that's dope. I think that's really, really dope that you can just remember that and
Yeah,
I
man.
was your favorite player. I really appreciate that too, you sharing
Wow.
that. Balf, you came to the region. We had lunch, talked about the podcast. What can our audience expect moving forward with this Gym Rats podcast?
Yeah, look, we want to be here to inform people about the organization, very obviously, but at the same time, we want to talk basketball, and we want to tell you guys some stories about things from behind the scenes. We want to let you guys know how important this really is to us, and then, ultimately, we want to spread it out, spread our wings, and not just talk to Indy Heat and Gym Rats people. We want to go out and talk to everybody we can, and again, man, just talk some hoop and get everybody some knowledge, and just be part of the larger basketball community.
I think it's huge too, Balf, because all of us have information on the palm of our hands. A lot of kids, well, the players mostly are on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook. How have you saw just Gym Rats make that curve with using social media?
Yeah, I think that social media has been big for us. I mean, we're able to contact some guys, and admittedly, we'll contact them and then go to their parents, but it still gives us that opportunity that it's a lot closer than trying to go through this guy and that guy and those guys, and makes it a little nicer to be able to have that communication directly with those folks. And we are able to watch kind of what's being said on social media by our guys, and so there is definitely some opportunity there amongst all kids because that's definitely what college coaches are looking for. So, we've really used it as a way to get our name out there, to get our kids out there, especially. And they may not get recruited off that, but it is a way to start a conversation anyway with a coach. So we found some
Absolutely.
really good luck with it.
Burks, how have you saw social media just make this turn in this era? Obviously, you grew up in a different era. Just
For sure.
elaborate, just how you saw social media have grown and how it's really essential right now in everyday life.
Hey, you could just reach out and touch so many different people, man. That's the thing. Like you could be sitting at home and you can reach people all over the world. So kids posting videos, whether it's highlight, full game. Well, first off, they usually post highlights because that's the best. That gets you the most likes, and that's
Right.
fine because you can use that same thing or those highlights to be able to contact a coach, reach out, and be able to send a full game tape. But like just as far as having access to so many people, man, being able to touch them and get your content out there, you can do a lot of recruiting or the recruiting on your own, man, just by getting your stuff out there.
How do you recruit for the future of Gym Rats, Burks? Like every player can't play on the EYBL team. So I think you send them to the Indy Heat Red team sometimes if they're like mid-major, maybe Division II NAIA. Just how do you tell the parents like, hey, this is what's best for your kid?
You just have to be honest with them. You just have to be straight up honest and just hope that they understand or at least they respect it. Whether they decide to come with the program or not is their decision, man. But I'm always upfront and I tell them about the opportunity that we have. And the one thing I do want to say, I don't want a kid that's just happy to be on the red team. I want the kid to want to be on the EYBL team, and their ultimate goal is to be there. The same with Gym Rats. We want those Gym Rats kids to say, hey, I really want to play red. Because that lets us know we're doing the right thing. We want kids that are hungry. But just being upfront and just telling the kid, this is the opportunity that we have for you. And if they like it, that's perfect because we can make it work.
And Boff, you're in the EYBL scene a lot. What have you saw with the EYBL from back then to what it is now? Because it's pretty much the biggest league to play in for AAU.
Yeah, look, realistically, when you walk in to do a recruiting pitch and you say Nike, it does make it easier. I'm not going to lie. Burks will tell me all the time how much easier it is to recruit. But at the end of the day, look, we've got to get the best athletes and players in the country. And, realistically, there's not as many of those guys as everybody thinks there are. And I do appreciate everybody's opinion on, what a kid is or what a kid isn't. But at the end of the day, we've got to look for the best talent, but at the same time, we've got to be able to piece a roster together. Would love to go out and get 10 of the best players in the state every year, but you still got to fit them all together and make sure, that it is going to go out and be successful. Give that over to Jason Delaney and our coaching staff on the 17U team and let those guys work their magic. So, again, we've got to get tremendously talented people, and that is a very limited pool. The rest of them, though, we really feel confident that we've built a great organization. Burks and his team have done a nice job. All our Gym Rats guys, Jeremy Herring and those guys have done a phenomenal job as well. Again, getting kids to college paid for, that is ultimately our goal. As Burks said, we want to be as honest as we can and set those guys up for success in the future, set their parents up for success so that their college is paid for. And that's really our goal across all of our teams.
And Bob, for a first-time listener who was just really interested on listening to the Gym Rats podcast, how would you describe, in your opinion, what is the EYBL?
Well, you already said, I mean, it's the best league in the country. And if you talk to any one of our EYBL players from the past or, from any of the guys that have been around the last couple of years even, they will tell you that there are guys, you go play a team, and it's not like other shoe leagues where every once in a while you play a good team. You play a very, very good team every time you're on the court. And I'm here to tell you, it's dudes you've never heard of that are out there that can ball, that are going to come at you 100 miles an hour, and you better be ready. Rico, you played, some stuff back then as well. So, I mean, these dudes are coming for your head. And these guys are making sure that they are going to come out and not want you to play basketball anymore because they want to make you feel like they can dominate you. And that is a mindset. That is a physicality. That is a speed that you cannot have anywhere else. I will tell you, it is the closest thing to college basketball that there is out there. That's why they have college referees when we play EYBL. We play a 24-second shot clock. We play a 8-second half court line. We play on the NBA 3-point line. We do all these things because it is another level of basketball that is something that nobody else in the country has been able to emulate at all. And it's amazing, Rico, from 15s to 16s to 17s, the adjustment and speed. We always tell everybody that Nike, if you're playing 15U Nike, that's like playing 16U anything else. If you're playing 16U Nike, that's like playing 17U anything else. And if you're playing 17s, it's college. And that's really how we always tell people, and it's the truth.
And Balf, it was like 2010, 2011, we made it to the Final Four, played against like Bradley Beal.
Sure.
And I didn't play. I sprained my ankle.
And Rico, when you say Bradley Beal, you're talking the Bradley Beal.
Yeah,
not
that's
the
playing
team
for the
Bradley
Wizards.
Beal, the Bradley Beal, right.
Right. And I'm watching him and Marcus T go at it. And I'm like, at the time we were Spieth and we made it to the Final Four, but the experience to play on the main court, for anybody who's been to Peach Jam, you see it individual courts, but we was playing on the main court. You had Coach K, Calipari, Roy Williams, just to name a few. And it was like, everybody's going to eat after this Final Four. Even if I had a sprayed ankle, I know I left that weekend with a loaded scholarships.
Sure. Well, and again, just as a personal story about the EYBL and Peach Jam, I mean, just to tell you how different it is. So I take my son every year, which is an awesome experience. As Burks is talking about, I'm a father as well. And so I get to take him and be part of that. And that's great. But, a couple years ago, got to meet Kevin Durant. Shaq was walking around. Scottie Pippen's walking around. You got Jay-Z walking around because his cousin's there. Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are walking around. I'm sorry, but you can't get that anywhere else in the country. It is not just basketball. It is something more than basketball, which is what makes it so great. And everybody comes, and it's such you would believe that we're all over the country, and so it's this huge deal that nobody's interlocking, but everybody's interlocked. It's such a small community, and it breaks down even to guys on our red side and guys on our Gym Rat side, but EYBL is so different than anything else.
And it's inspiring too. And Burks and Balf, my experience was we lost by a large deficit, by 40 to team takeover. They pressed us all game. And Gary Betts, for anybody who knows Gary Betts, you guys know how he coaches. Mm-hmm. So we're just sitting there waiting until our van arrives. He sees Doc Rivers, and Gary Betts pulls Doc Rivers by his arm and say, Doc, you need to talk to these kids because they don't know where they're at. And I took his message in terms of what the EYBL is and where Peach Jam, what it meant to so many people. I remember like it was yesterday, and just having Doc Rivers talk to us, who's an NBA champion, who was with the Celtics, is now with the Clippers. I just thought that was huge. Burks, from your experience, what have you noticed from like just the EYBL and what it's presenting to us right now in grassroots basketball?
Just the opportunity or the exposure, man. I just know just an example, the first time I got to see the EYBL, it's when my first year with the 16, I was assistant coach with Jamal with the 16 EYBL group, and we were out in Sacramento, man. And a year before that, Quarles and I had got into it about a player. I'm like, look, this kid can play EYBL, right. I'm telling you. So we're going back and forth. And so anyway, Quarles had put him on the team. So you fast forward a year, I'm in Sacramento. It was my first experience actually seeing it up close and personal. And the game that I seen, Malik Monk had 40 plus. And I just walked up to Quarles and said, you were right. And he said, about what? And I just walked away. So now once he see this podcast, he know what he was right about.
How was it coaching with Jamal?
Oh, man, it was must-see TV, bro. I had my wife and kids come. I was like, yo, come to the game, but don't watch me. Just get in the seat where you can see Jamal and watch his facial expressions. So, no, that's my guy, man. That's my brother. But he does a great job, man, and we just had a blast that year, bro.
No, awesome. Balf, you've watched The Last Dance, because I'm going to wrap it up with this segment. What's your thoughts behind it?
You know, it's a fantastic story. There's so many different storylines within The Last Dance. I mean, you could go down the fact that Phil Jackson, in my opinion, was such a great coach. And people can say, well, he had great players. But you know what? You got to keep all that together. You've seen the Rodman stuff, the Pippen stuff, the Jordan stuff on down the line. And as a great coach, your job is to manage a bunch of egos. I mean, it's you do a lot of that when you're dealing with AAU basketball. It's the same type of stuff, grassroots basketball. You know, you could go into the Jerry Krause story where Jerry Krause was probably the guy that was delivering the message from the owner, really, but, you know, he's the scapegoat. And he's the guy that thought he could be smarter than the players, and he found out he can't. You know, and it's amazing to me as well, if you look at some of those great teams that they played in the finals and things like that, look at all the guys that are still involved in basketball. Look at all the guys that are in the front offices right now that are general managers, that are coaches, that are, you know, just involved somehow. And I think to, you know, wrap it back to grassroots, what's cool about that is that a lot of those guys that are on The Last Dance, we've seen at the Nike stuff. And I think it's awesome when guys, you know, Penny Hardaway was on there last night. Penny Hardaway had a team, and now Penny Hardaway is at Memphis coaching. You know, you saw Scottie Pippen, whose son ended up playing in there. You know, and so now he's back, or he was back with EYBL. And you can just take so many of those people that come back, you know, and Kevin Durant gives back a ton, and Bradley Beal obviously has his own team, and so many other guys are involved in it. And when those folks can come back and give back to the basketball community, to these youth players across grassroots, it's phenomenal and it's awesome.
Balf, I thought it was huge because I play in the Puerto Rico League. So obviously they were on display, and I didn't know that Phil was a coach in PR. And that was huge for him. I mean, because obviously Puerto Rico has been having just such tragedies that they can't control. But to see them get notoriety that Phil was in PR, that was huge. And to see Dennis Rodman say, I'm just going to go and rebound for my teammates and watch them miss, that resonated with me because that was my job for the EYBL team, besides backdooring and guarding, you know, the best player on the opposite team. So I took a lot from that, and I got to learn how to golf. So Jordan was really big on golfing and also just being human off the floor, because we all love to golf. Jared is big on golfing. I'm going to learn eventually. Burks, what's your thoughts behind The Last Dance?
Man, really, The Last Dance is just kind of rewinding everything that I already seen. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that the kids today get to see this stuff, man. Get to see Michael Jordan the way he competed. His ability to be coached, because it was an adjustment when you bring in Phil Jackson, who takes the ball out of his hands. I think a lot of kids need to see that. Now, the one part about The Last Dance I do not like is the downing of LeBron James and what he's been able to do to the game and comparing the great athletes. Like Jordan and LeBron are both great in their own right. So, but in terms of being able to see it, like my oldest daughter is watching, you know, The Last Dance. She was born in '98, so she has no idea about this. My youngest daughter is 15 years old, so she's able to see Jordan and understand what I'm talking about when I talk about things that he's done. So, but as far as that, I just love it. It's out there right now. You get to see Jordan's dominance. You get to see his approach to the game, but then you get to see his teammates, man, and what they thought about him and what they thought about that run that they went on.
Burks, I appreciate it. Balf, I appreciate you just coming on the podcast. You guys stay tuned, leave a review, and hit subscribe. Pleasure, guys. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for having us.